Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And today, team, do you wanna share any news?
Yeah, I've got some XR tools news today. So Roblox has introduced Cube 3D, and it's a new generative AI model for creating 3D objects. We're going to see more and more tooling be available, and that's kind of the theme of all of the news I have today. Cube 3D, inspired by text prediction models, actually tokenizes shapes and then predicts what will be next when you're building a 3D model. And so that's how uh, the logic behind how it builds the models. It was trained on a mix of licensed data sets, public sets, and all of the Roblox ecosystem assets. So when you start to think about these new models that get built, data is really the name of the game, and Roblox has got a ton of data about things like 3D models that they can use to create tools to help people be more efficient. They're going to make this tool part of a broader effort to integrate AI tools into the creation platform, which will make it more accessible for everybody. It's already pretty accessible, but I think these AI tools will help people um, get things out faster and with less effort, which means more and more people will be building on their platform. And the more content, the more things there are for people to consume. So it's a net positive, I think, for the Roblox. I'm also very bullish on all of the AI tools to help people create 3D models. I think they're really interesting right now. Any thoughts on that, Dom?
Yeah, I think I remember when I went to GDC, I saw Meta has some Gen AI tools for Horizon world creation. I think this will be a norm. And also, I saw a lot of like a text to 3D. Yeah, and MCP or MPC, those types of like a
Hmm.
text prompt to Blender or text prompt to Unity. All those are really, really easy to use, and it will be the future of development. And I remember if you use a Replit or a cursor, or yeah, there was a couple of like a text to the entire app types
Hmm.
of development. Yeah, so I think the future is yeah, very interesting.
Yep, a lot of new, I think we'll see a lot of new things, and I think things will build on top of each other, which will be really interesting. The next piece of news I want to cover, another tool, Niantic. They dropped some research about 3D splat stylization called a tool called Morpheus. The really interesting thing about this is it separates the geometry from the styling. And why that's important is because once the geometry is understood, you can change the geometry to whatever you want. You know, imagine walking through your neighborhood, and rather it be in your normal neighborhood, you make it like a scene from the Middle Ages with castles and dragons and stuff. It takes that existing geometry and gives you the ability to either reshape it or shape the appearance of it dramatically. This will unlock a lot of tools for people to make situations really immersive, which include understanding the geometry both in a room and kind of outside, and then utilizing that as part of the um, scene to help A, create, a much more immersive experience, and B, make it more safe so those things can be things that people don't walk into even when it's a mixed reality type of experience. So I think there's a lot of really great opportunities coming out of being able to separate the geometry and the styling.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting. I remember I watched that video, and you can actually change different like styles, like a Lego style
Hmm.
or like a realistic, and also like the color, you can make it like a very smooth or very dynamic. And I was very impressed because imagine an artist, right? An artist being trained, they can do different styles, and it might take decades just to become like that. And
Hmm.
now, I remember I saw one interesting post that few years ago somebody can get charged, can charge like a $5,000 just to switch kind of style or
Yeah.
design a style, character styles, but now you see like a chatbot, you can pretty much type. And I have like a 3D modeler, he did a very amazing style, right? Like the design character.
Yeah.
But imagine if this style and you ask ChatGPT to recreate a couple of characters using this style, it can do that. So
Hmm.
I really don't know what's the, what can the future, be for those types of like um artists. How can they even make money if they are working on the service side? Because I saw one news, Accenture, their stock is going down
Hmm.
sharply.
Why?
And one person just said that, please, right now, if you want to build something, don't do service based.
Mm.
Because you see, like Accenture pretty much is the high end talents. They are also like the outsourcing talent firm for big tech, and they also have their talent service. So think of that if we do things using our time to charge and to help people to build a product.
Hmm.
If you see this trend, like even the top tier talents firm is decreasing their value, and the person, the LinkedIn influencer mentioned that please do product, start building product. You
Yeah.
will get benefit from this. If you are doing the service, charging hourly, you won't get benefit from this trend. Yeah.
Hmm. Yep. No, that makes a lot of sense. As things are being automated, the more things you can automate, the less you need human power, just human horsepower, I'll call it for lack of a better description.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next interesting thing. A Spatial LM was launched by Hugging Face, and it's a 3D large language model designed to process 3D point clouds and generate 3D scene understanding outputs. So basically, what this does is it recognizes the scene and it calls out various things inside that scene, like TVs and walls and doors and windows. And it puts bounding boxes around those, so they're each their own segment semantic category, so that you can start to do different transitions or transformations on those things specifically, which gives you a lot more control over scene, all of the scene understanding tools that you normally use. This is just a lot more advanced than that. And this is also going to give you the opportunity to uh, feed it different sources like RGBD images and LiDAR sensors. So the point cloud stuff. It can use all of that information and video sequences as well, clearly, to grab the architectural things and then put a bounding box around them. So then you have semantic markers for all of those things. So another creative tool that allows people to uh, understand the scene a little bit more and be a bit more precise with how they create the interaction.
Yeah. This one I remember I use Meta Utility. If you download that building blocks or like
Hmm.
SDK, it has this types of function which it will detect, and it also will have categorized of your room according to the elements. So, for example, I scan my room, and later on the Unity building is
Hmm.
automatically categorized this as
Okay.
like a bedroom because there's a bed. So I
Hmm.
think this is really helping like the tagging computer vision detect the kind of like a goods inside the room, really helps development. For example, in the future, if I want to swap a bed according to the size, I want to put, uh, I don't know, a thing, a table or
Yeah.
something there
Do you
for
have enough
mixed
room?
reality. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is a great invention.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, speaking of Meta, that's the next one. Meta's Reality Lab Zurich researchers have developed a way to create an immersive 3D environment from a single image, which is really impressive. So what they do is they generate the panorama of that based on that image using a pre-trained model, and then they do a transformation to make the 3D structures 3D, and so it gives it the depth. It allows you to paint areas that you need to go and make updates to, and it also allows you to walk into that space a little bit. Right now, you can only go in about 2 meters, and so it's one of the things that they need to. We'll see evolution through that so that the you can walk deeper into those environments. But this is when I think of Star Trek and holodeck, this is the first kind of implementation of that, I'll call it, where you can generate a full scene from a single image, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, this reminds me of there's a company like a some I forgot the name, but before I use this types of technology and I upload image and it will
Hmm.
generate a 3D model for me. And it was the first one on Unity Store. It's
Yep.
called yeah, what's that name? Do
Is
you
it
remember?
Blockade Labs?
Yes, 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 you got it. I was like trying to research that. Yeah, Black that labs. And I remember I was working on Moby Dick and I was trying to text prompt and with a lot of image support and doing the
Yeah.
360 like the texture. It always has something a little bit wrong. For example, like the text will be wrong. Or like something that sometimes because I was working on more like the 19th century, so there will always be some modern stuff showing up.
Sure.
Yeah, so I would say that for text prompt to art, no matter how you describe, it will always have something that is wrong. So it took me very, very long time to just do a background. So at the end, I drop. I hope Meta's kind of like the 360
Hmm.
would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be awesome. Okay, last piece, and this will be a nice transition to the AI stuff. A company called Synchron has integrated NVIDIA's AI technology into its brain-computer interface. And
Oh,
so this is really interesting. There's a video associated that we can link on Instagram, and it shows a man who's paralyzed. His name is Rodney Gorham, and between the BCI, the brain computer interface, and Apple Vision Pro, he's able to control objects in his room. So the Apple Vision
oh,
Pro detects his gaze, it lights up an item, it tells you what that item is, and then he has the ability to make changes to that. Turn the air conditioner on or off, or
oh.
turn the light on or off. So, when I think about technology, I often think about how it lets people do things they couldn't do before. And I think this is a really, really great use case.
Yeah.
I think the eye tracking and Apple Vision Pro is pretty fantastic. And I am excited to see things like this. I don't know if I'm ready to have a brain computer interface yet. But I am interested that we're making really good progress and making things accessible for people through this process.
Yeah, this is amazing because I think IoT, right, Internet of Things, make all the objects smart. And then people can kind of just like use whatever they think it
Hmm.
will happen. It's just like for me, it's like a magic, right? You just think of something and something happen. It reminds me of like the Bible at the beginning when God says something and something happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so wow, this is like not only in the virtual world, it becomes the like
In
reality.
the physical world too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my news, let me see. The first news is Bill Gates says that AI will replace doctors, teachers within 10 years and claims human won't be needed for most things. So in short, that Bill Gates had an interview with like with on the TV show The Tonight Show with comedian Jimmy Fallon on NBC. So during the show, he mentioned that I remember he said that there were three types of jobs that still needed in the foreseeable future. One is coder, who is maintaining the AI infrastructure. Second one is energy, people who work on energy because AI needs a lot of energy. The third
Hmm.
one is biologists. He said that because like a AI and human, it really needs a lot of people who work on biology that sometimes AI just couldn't do a lot of like how to balance the
Hmm.
biology and human and also think in a human way and a lot of more like biology, that types of ecosystem. So I don't know, like he is in a higher level and
Hmm.
you see like Microsoft invest the majority of open AI. So I think he will see, he saw a lot of things that we couldn't see. And then, yeah, and he said that the doctors and teachers won't be needed for most of things. And it caused my panic because I am getting my master degree, so trying to be and learning how to do curriculum design and trying to be a teacher, learn all the psychology stuff. And I asked like a chat GPT and Grok 3. Well, teachers like in 10 years will be eliminated. And
Hmm.
they say, the chatbot said that no, a lot of parts that, AI cannot replace. For example, like the soft skills. And also, right now, I remember right now is the kind of like a high school basketball. You see, like a school in school, kind of
Yeah.
as a unit, they are having competitions. Imagine if everybody just stay at home and they are not really working together and just getting a computer and everything is remote learning. Uh, well, then work together as a team and feel like they belong to something. Yeah, I feel really sad. And you see, like right now, Gen Z, the reason why Gen Z was so indifferent or like a very hard for them to get soft skills, or
Yeah.
they are hard, like it's very hard for them to get into the workplace because they are very so-called not really good at social skills because during their learning time in college and in also in high school they during COVID, they are forced to get a remote learning, and they even had graduation show online. So
Sure.
think of that. We've already practiced. We have some experimental that everybody only receive things from computers, right? And it ends up to be people are indifferent. Like I told, like a high school boot camp, everybody look at their phone, and during like the small group discussion, everybody just sit there, nobody want to talk and look at their phone. So is this what we are looking for? That nobody really acts like a human, but very, very knowledgeable and couldn't really work or talk in a group.
So does that mean that you're against work from home in general?
Not really. I think for
Yeah.
youngsters still need some types of like, remember when we were young,
Yeah. Yeah.
I got my first phone when I was in high school. I got my email account when I was in high school. I think before I saw like, oh wow, I'm so behind, but now I think it's actually a blessing. I
Hmm.
actually play on the ground when I was in elementary school. I
Yeah.
feel like those really makes me feel like I'm a human. And now I just think that, I mean, I'm not against the AI or something. I just feel like for youngster, they lose something that we used to have and take for granted.
Yeah, we yesterday I went to this is the National Toy and Miniature Museum. It's in Kansas City. And these very, very small like furniture that would be in dollhouses, but and then they would make them even smaller than that.
Mm.
But I overheard somebody say, this is what people used to do before video games. This is what hobbies used to be like.
Like Lego, right?
Yeah,
Remember
yeah,
like
yeah.
when Lego was a big thing in the past that everybody built something instead of like a VR. I mean I like a VR or XR, but we
Sure.
had that time that we actually grab something physical and build and with friends. And
Hmm.
now I think if we start eliminate schools and you see like a department of education got eliminated,
Hmm.
which the government funding student loan was, you couldn't log in now.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I'm wondering like the in the future the traditional school will be replaced by almost free robots, which is good. At least the fundamental knowledge will be free. But
Hmm.
I think probably only rich people they will still keep more like a traditional, like at the in UK, right? They have like a lot of like a really expensive only super rich people, or in United States those like
Hmm.
elites, they will keep like the really good like education and hire super expensive human. Otherwise feel like a lot of system is slowly got dissolved.
Yeah. Interesting times.
Yeah. Yeah, the next news is also similar to the education. It's in Wall Street Journal. In the title, it says, "There's a good chance your kids use AI to cheat." The subtitle is, "More students are hiding their secret weapon from parents and teachers, racking up top grades while AI chatbot do the work." So pretty much, a lot of educators concerned that, for example, they ask students to write the mockingbirds, right? Like some like a literature, like a critical thinking, foster critical thinking
Mhm.
assets, and they find out that well, students like unexpectedly deliver something that instructor doesn't believe that is from student. That's normal. I mean, I use it to write my assets or edit my assets. And also I brainstorm with AI all the time. And they
Hmm.
were wonder, the teachers start wondering like what will those kids be when they enter to the workforce. And for
Yeah.
me, it's like, hey, workforce, everybody's using it. Even I can tell you my teacher at Easter Bay used AI to grade and give me the comments. And I was
Hmm.
like, uh, I don't know. At the beginning, I feel weird, but later I was like, I mean, AI, everybody's using AI. So anyway, so what do you think about like high school? I think K-12 and higher education, maybe there's a separate thing. Like K-12 need to be more focused on thinking of
Yeah.
their own personality or something, develop something because they are not mature. But
Yeah.
after high school, maybe allow them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a changing time. I want to see. It's definitely a valuable tool, right? Like for learning. So it's how do you use it and how do you restrict the use of it, I guess, in the right ways,
Mm,
if that makes sense. But the goal,
yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head with, when these kids get into the workforce, everybody's going to be using AI. So if they don't use AI, I feel like it puts them at a disadvantage when they get to the
Mm,
workforce. So, I think it's understanding what's acceptable and being clear about that and being able to track those things. People talk about an AI, has an AI, somebody used an AI and let me run it through an AI detector. So you can't do that. It doesn't work. It's not consistent. So they just need to recognize that that's the world that we live in, and how do you help them do that? I think we talked last week potentially about, make it part of the process. How will you use AI? And, I saw a post today and somebody said, the first thing I do is build out how I want to do. It was a vibe coding post, and it's like, I want to build out what I want to do. Let me do the steps of that first, and then I can work through it with AI rather than have an AI tell me all this stuff because it inevitably gets it wrong, and I have to go back and redo work.
mm. Yeah, and for me, I think um maybe integrate some personal experience or something that AI might not know things, or
Hmm.
make something that is so big that requires human and AI collaboration.
Yeah.
That's more higher education, more like a college or like a more advanced, like a master or doctor degree. I think that's great. But for K-12, for example, if somebody who has zero knowledge and keep using AI and no judgment, what do you see, for example, like elementary school and or like a junior high school, they just start learning an entry level of knowledge. What do you see if somebody who doesn't want to think and just that AI to automate the answer and got really high grade, and at the end, know nothing.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't think it's good. I think people still need to learn to think. And to your point, I think calling out those steps, like making them do the individual steps before they get to AI, everybody take out a piece of paper and write down the steps that you're going to do. Like you can't use AI on paper. So let's go get that figured out.
Yeah, maybe do something that maybe the assignment can be something that AI cannot automate alone, right? For
Yeah, yeah.
example, like a if you want like somebody to write like a literature critiques or like a read a book, maybe write something like oh, what's the point in your life that you feel you are similar to somebody, right? Maybe you are obsessed, like
Hmm.
Captain Ahab, something like that. Or like, is there any point in your life, something more personal instead of a question that AI can quickly generate, and you couldn't tell whether the student can, because you couldn't really prevent this. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think it's. I'm gonna take the opposing stance. I think it's also lazy as a teacher not to understand that they can use AI. Like what you just walked through was like,
Hmm.
yeah, how can I give them assignment they can't use AI on?
Yeah,
Okay, well, you have to know enough about AI and how
yeah,
to use it, and that they're going to use it to know what to create. And so I think it's just part of what teachers are going to have to teach going forward as well.
yeah. I think teachers really need to learn AI as well, because I know a lot of teachers are against AI just because of copyright issue. And I would say that AI, this phenomena or like a evolution, won't go back to the past. It
Sure.
will keep going on.
Yeah, yeah, it's not
So
going back.
So yeah, going back, we won't go back. So how can we? Because right now I know, as far as I know, that California chancellor, they are hiring a lot of like a part-time people who knows AI to help them to implement AI into California curriculum.
Hmm.
So yeah, so think of that California is one of the, I would say, most advanced or most talented people in tech people in Bay Area. I think by being kind of like the first or one of the first states that help teacher to retrain and get implement into AI instead of just saying no.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think I remember somebody mentioned that right now we are not teaching students to storage knowledge, but instead we teach them how to ask questions. So I think, for example, Replit. Remember, a
Hmm.
few weeks ago I mentioned Magic School. The founder doesn't really know how to code, and just by keeping asking questions with the chatbot, he was able to build right now 4 million active user for school teacher K-12 to develop like an online course.
Yeah.
I think imagine like the traditional school for teaching how to develop a platform, starting with Hello World that nobody cares, right? Every time when I saw like the beginner of something is always Hello World on
Hmm.
console.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think AI allows students to ask questions that they care first, and by doing what they care, they can expand. By teaching, follow the curriculum, which teaches something that they don't think relative to them.
Yeah.
That, yeah, every time when I do like a HTML or some other JavaScript, Java, C++, I always stop for some reason, like always cut in the middle for the normal curriculum online course,
Yeah.
because I don't know, I just don't know why I have to keep continuing and I feel being forced. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe the learning changes. Yeah. The other news is as AI nurses reshape hospital care, human nurses are pushing back. So it's also like an AI and human kind of conflicts. It's on the AP news. So on this new in this news, it mentioned there's startups that training a lot of AI virtual avatars as um, nurse and as doctors, and you just
Hmm.
pay really tiny fee, like $10 per month, something like that. and you can get access to all the virtual doctor, virtual nurse to answer your question. And a lot of course, the nurse and doctors won't be happy about this, and they have protests that say trust nurse, not AI. So, what do you see these types of trend? Because I think in Shanghai there was a hospital that is fully AI robots, and there was no human.
Hmm.
Will you allow that a robot take a knife and trying to cut you open for the
Yeah.
surgery? Will you trust a robot that couldn't even like walk very awkwardly and
Yeah.
doesn't have a face, just a screen?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think I'm there on letting a robot operate on me yet, but I think that there's some things where, micro operations or microsurgery, we'll call it, where it's very small, uh, detailed stuff, I think is really an interesting space. I also think with the, $10, you talked about the $10 ask a nurse. I've worked and continue to work in the healthcare realm a little bit, and one of the things is everybody they talk about Dr. Google, right? Like
Mm,
everybody's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna Google it and see what my symptoms are, and it'll tell me what's wrong." And those results aren't curated
mm,
in any way. It's just data dump of, here's something close to what you searched for. I think AI provides an opportunity to get more refined with those answers.
mm,
And in doing so, I think that we'll see more people engage
mm,
in their health. I think a lot of times people don't go get care for one of two reasons. They don't understand they need it, and B, they have to it's time away from work. So this at least takes that first step and says, "Hey, let me do a consultation. Yeah, I probably should go get this looked at." And then it's a financial decision or a transportation decision that needs to be made. But I
mm,
think that it will enable healthcare to be more broadly served to people.
mm,
And then again, I think we keep talking about humans doing the things humans are best at.
mm.
I think there will still be a place for human nurses and doctors even in the future.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago, I went to a doctor and I am anemic. So there were like a three types of like a anemic, like a syndrome, and three of them are very distinctly different.
Hmm.
I remember one of it is you cannot eat iron. The second of it is you need to eat a lot of irons because you are lacking of irons,
Yeah.
and two of them are conflict.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like my like the numbers of my blood was below the it's pretty much the worst.
Yeah.
And when doctors saw my data, he said, "Wow, I'm so surprised that you are not dying. He's like, you're
Oh,
still alive." I was like, "Oh, that's why every time I feel tired
yeah.
after lunch." And when I was in Asia, we have napping time. So during the noontime, we take a nap. So I feel still fine to operate as a human.
Sure.
So that's why I have to take a nap if I didn't take iron, just
Yeah.
because of my blood.
Yeah.
There are some like anemic stuff. So um, I remember the doctor said that I have three or two of them, like
Oh,
very severe. It's
yeah.
like a deficiency, some weird syndrome. I have like a mix of three,
Sure.
and he suggests me to take iron. So after I don't know. For me, I just like what's going on? Why my blood? I just curious, so I Google
Hmm.
it, and Google said that those two are conflict. So I was so worried. What if I follow this
You take
doctor's
iron. Yeah.
advice,
Yeah.
and what if the other symptom will conflict? What if I die?
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I talked to a doctor, and I remember nurse just told me that we are the doctor. Please trust your doctor. He got
Hmm.
like a whatever degree and he got past so many things and your Google search. And that was back in 2021.
Sure.
Uh, no chat GPT, no AI, and it's purely Google search. And I look up like a Reddit, all those like a professional forum. And
Hmm.
I was trying to figure out should I eat iron or not because two of them are conflict. I might die if something happened if
Yeah.
I take too much dose of iron. And then it says that if you have something, don't eat iron, and which is conflict with my doctor. And my nurse and doctor said, trust us.
Sure.
you're a doctor. Please don't trust anything online on Google. They
Yeah.
are not professional. Trust me, I won't make you die. Like something they promised me. So later I started taking iron. And I find out that the number, because they do blood draw,
Yeah.
is going up. And I feel like a much energetic. So that's why I was like, wow, so I need to help. Because I was so confused. And I even told my doctor, what if I die? If I
Yeah. Yeah.
listen to you, what if I die?
Yeah.
So he just said, don't trust like whatever online news. Trust us, please. We are I have a license, da 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 da. And he was trying to convince me to trust him. And before I was so not trust him because I get used to learn everything from online. So
Sure.
this is the thing that I think, what if that's like if I ask, because doctors knows the overall for I remember for doctors they need to learn how to diagnose their
Yeah.
patient, and every patient has a complicated syndrome. It's not just like, oh, if the blood number is low, do this thing. It's not that. It's like everybody, for example, have diabetes, heart something deficiency,
Yeah.
complicated syndrome. So the doctor has more data and give you more correct direction. So I was glad that I listened to doctor, not insist on the Google or
Hmm.
something like a, more like automation
Yeah.
information. So what do you think if that say that chatbot says something different than your real doctor? What will you pick?
I would get another opinion. That's what I would do. I would go find somebody else. I also think doctors have limited exposure, right? Like they can only see so many patients over a period of time, but the chatbot's got infinite amount of data that it can draw from to make conclusions. So if if I went to my doctor and they said something and I used the chatbot and it said something very different, we would definitely have a conversation about it, and I would probably go to another doctor just to get a different opinion.
Hmm. Yeah, I think right now it's more like a who should we trust? It's like a should we trust the real human experts or the AI chatbot that claim they got really well trained? So
Sure.
it's very interesting. And the other news is that recently we see like the viral images from Ghibli style AI image. Yeah. You see like ChatGPT 4.0, you can pretty much generate Ghibli style. I actually secretly generate like two or three of my profile picture. I didn't post it because I still feel, hey, I'm rip off like the original style. I just want to test it out if it is real. Yeah,
Sure.
it makes me feels like I really like that style because it's nostalgic. And also it's the style that is so hard. Like you can feel it's warming everybody's heart. And especially the Japanese original creator.
Sure.
Um, he had a lot of super original story that make this types of style associate with some certain type of very pure, very spiritual, the goodness of life. So, what do you see that everybody now access and create this style all over the place? I remember that the master Gong Qi Jing in Chinese, he mentioned that he one time long time ago it wasn't even AI. Somebody utilized actually draw it, use like a humans to draw it and draw like zombies using their style. And he
Hmm.
feel insulted. Why? Because hey, this is not what I want this style to be. I don't want associate with zombies. Any any topics that will make this style or this like the world he wanna create, make it like a meaningless, right? Yeah.
Sure.
So now it's out of control, right? Everybody take anything, and it's not even the original creator intend to be. What do you see these types of like do you think it's even copyright issue or I don't know, like what do you see these types of phenomena?
Yeah, I think it's definitely some gray area right now, but one of the things is I would ask is are you generating any revenue from this? Right?
Mm,
Like
mm,
just because somebody takes their profile picture and makes it Studio Ghibli style. Does what does that matter really? Like nobody's
Mm,
generating any revenue off of that. So
mm,
I don't that it's the same as somebody doing fan art, right? Like,
mm,
yeah, I used Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. I drew him, ordering a cheeseburger at McDonald's. Is that copyright infringement? Are they going to come after me because I did that? I think
mm,
thinking through those things. Now, if I go and make a poster of that and I sell it,
mm,
that feels like a different thing. And how do we talk about that? And what does
mm,
that mean? This is where trademarks came in originally, is that people were making things, like a glassmaker in the 1600s would make bowls, and then people
mm,
would knock off their style, and so they end up with their own mark and then trademark that so that other people couldn't use it, and you would know when
mm,
you had a bowl that was made by a certain craftsperson that was their work. So I
mm.
think there's probably some version of, I think, digital rights management's a little crazy at some level, but I think there's some version of understanding if somebody's trying to make money off of it, that the original creator should have some say over that.
Yeah, I think let's say if somebody monetize from it, and will ChatGPT be the responsible for to pay the fine, or the person who use ChatGPT to create needs to pay?
Yeah.
Who created?
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, I think right now we haven't seen the lawsuit yet, but imagine like a you see Scarlett Johansson, right? At the beginning, actually, ChatGPT used her voice to generate
Hmm.
to ask questions using her voice as default. So can she even win the lawsuit? Is her voice belong to her? And actually, ChatGPT is monetized from her voice.
Yeah.
And if you see this, ChatGPT monetized from Ghibli Studio because everybody loves that style and they would like to subscribe it to
Sure.
get that style. So if you use these types of logic, um, ChatGPT does monetize from generate this style because
Hmm.
everybody likes. So what do you think? Or
Yep.
Ghibli Studio need to every image generate, Ghibli can get like a 10% of the thing. Yeah.
Yep. Yep, it's good. It's going to be ethical generation and ethical sourcing of data is going to be a hot topic for years to come, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, the other news is that AI job application raise risk hiring incapable staff. Okay, so there are a lot of like HR or a lot of AI bots right now spray on the talents market. For example, I received a couple of like emails ask me to, hey, please click the link and prepare. Make sure you are in a quiet area and make sure your camera is open and you have a really high-end audio. And
Hmm.
let's start. And later on, there will be a camera, and I am immediately on the camera, and there is like a virtual person and say, "Hi, my name is da da da. I want to ask you, what's your experience, da da da." And I was like, "This is awkward." I never finish those types of interview. I just
Yeah.
feel like, oh. And one time I received a call, and it says, "Hi, I'm a virtual AI recruiter. This company is interested in hire you. Can you tell me a little bit about you?" Beep. And I was
Yeah.
like, this
How about
is,
no? Yeah.
and I was like, if it is a human voice, I can definitely just like, oh, hi, da 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 da, because I know I talk to a human, but I just like hand off. And later on, I receive another email that has a chatbot and say, "Hey, please click this link, and there will be a chatbot, virtual recruiter, ask you and screen you first, before we see whether we want to get to the next step." And I did a couple of one, and it just say, oh, what's your according to your resume and cover letter, you mentioned you have da 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 da. Can you explain more? And I was like, seriously, I have to do this? Can I use ChatGPT to go against that chatbot?
Hmm.
Yeah, I just close it. So and every time when I talk to a human, for example, I receive a phone call from a recruiter talking about a Microsoft phone, role. And later on, we became friends, and she talked about, oh, I saw your last name. Are you Chinese? And I said, and she said, oh, I saw a lot of Chinese drama. So I don't know. We ended up talking about some interesting personal stuff. But
Hmm.
I feel like, hey, recruiter feels more like, oh, I need to trust you, I need to give you my birthday or a
Yeah,
lot of sensitive information. If something is like a chatbot, I don't know whether I can trust it or not. What do you think if later
sure.
on, you saw those types of HR stuff, what will you do?
Yeah, well, so I was recently looking for a job, and so I created my own chatbot that was, a had all of my resume information and other information that I wanted to share with people, and it got quite a bit of use. A lot of people would go out as as a first kind of blush to see if I was qualified for a position. It was interesting to see the questions that they asked and then augment the knowledge, based on the questions that they asked, and I would get a confidence score on the responses that it gave, and I could go and make edits to those so the next time somebody asks those questions. So yeah, I think you fight fire with fire. I think there's going to be a point where my avatar, I'll just say, hey, I'm looking for a job, and my avatar will, anybody reaches out, they can talk to my avatar and maybe schedule a first interview and then decide if we want to meet in
Your
person.
avatar
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
to that avatar and
yeah,
keep talking, and later on it's like right now the interesting thing is that Gen Z dating, they use like a chatbot to trying to flirt with another chatbot, and
yeah.
at the end the real humans show up, and it's very different from the
What you're
original.
expecting? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. And I remember one time there was a question, like a company has a question like, what if you can develop an AI product, what will you develop? And I said, an AI chatbot represent me to talk to like a BOA's chatbot to get a human to talk to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That is hard because I mean it's very, very hard for example, right now a lot of bank system. It's all like automation, and it's always routed you to look up their website, go in your profile and edit on your own. But
yeah,
if
yeah.
something really not the case, you couldn't even talk to the human. It just
Hmm.
loop. So I think if we can invent a chatbot, yeah, just like you, it's like attack and defense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I'm gonna fight fire with fire.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just yeah, very interesting. And yeah, I think yeah, and last week I went to, or like 2 weeks ago, I went to GDC. I
Hmm.
think a lot of people, I mean, of course, are seeking for jobs. And also when I went there, I feel like a lot of AI, yeah, of course, AI is still there, but I think um right now people are more like a, I don't know. I feel like it's more like the senior developer versus junior developer. Senior, that people like to hire senior because senior's price is decreasing because there are so many
Hmm.
of senior developer. And then also they want senior plus AI, right? And junior doesn't really have the room to get in. So what do you see these types of phenomena?
Well, there will always, the market will change and there will be juniors that need to come in. So I also think that we're in an interesting time where you don't have to go to a 4-year school necessarily to learn this stuff,
Yeah, right,
And so
right.
anybody who's doing it, I think you do it on the side and say, hey, yeah, these are some projects, put together a portfolio of these are the projects I worked in. And that gives, people who might not have as much experience an opportunity to show what they can do. When I would hire people, I didn't really care about their portfolio as much. I mean, I would
Mm.
look at it and if it was interesting or not, but I'd really want to have a conversation with them about the thought process that they got to that thing.
Mm.
Anybody can go copy somebody else's work,
Yeah.
like what we were talking about earlier. But I really want to know how you got there and the decisions that you made to get you there. That's what I think will be important in the future.
Yeah, I think maybe work on your project or collaboratively work with your team and come up with some unique project and play an important decision making maker role inside your team and train your soft skills
Hmm.
and just directly even though you don't have any experience, if you have a solid portfolio and you exercise or you play your roles in and you still have a chance, or you just publish it as a just make a product. I think
Sure.
that might be an ideal. Yeah, I think that this era is very very interesting. I love AI, and also I feel like wow, AI is like a what a disruptor that makes me think about education. It makes me think of like as a creator what's my value, right? And actually, I'm about to launch. I mean, I'm still working on it. Kind of like a course on Udemy or Skillshare or
Hmm.
Maven. It is more like a let's see how it goes and see what market respond. So far, I think people generally want to learn how to do AI pipeline for XR development. I
Yeah.
think XR still is still like in my team, I have somebody who use Mac to develop, and it's like in my mind, hey, Mac is not working. So I directly talked to him, but he said actually it works. And I start looking up everything. It seems like it works, but I'm
Yeah.
just worried. It's like, wow, people use Mac to develop XR is working right now. And I feel like, wow, this everything just moves so fast and I don't even know whether my brand I can trust my brand or
Yeah.
like as a default. So I even ask a lot of people working for Meta and see if Mac is compatible with like
Sure.
Quest development. So I think the world is changing, and I told myself I need to be more flexible, even though I'm like a little scared, like, oh, what if later
Hmm.
our bill was failed. So yeah, and oh yeah, talk about my course. It's it's like ultimate AI pipeline, which I will create a XR project, like use like a Laravel, Edgar and Paul, and
Hmm.
like, and I make a little diorama, the types of little thing, and trying to
Sure.
do it and using everything AI. So it's also challenging for me. And you see, like the setup looks more professional.
Hmm.
And I think, yeah, I don't know. I just think that how can I monetize or make my service as a product instead of hourly, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Build
I
it
don't
once,
know.
sell it many times.
Yeah, that's my thought. But I
Yep.
think XR is changing so fast. I use Trellis to do 3D model, and now
Yeah.
you see your news. There are so many 3D is
Tools.
coming up.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know whether Trellis will be outdated once I launch the product. I don't know.
Just means we'll have more stuff to talk about next week.
Yeah, right. And I really enjoyed like the news because first it's kind of make me have to do the research, and second
Hmm.
it's like every week I think I have some stereotype about something. I think when I talk to you, you always like have more well-rounded thinking, which is very different from me. Which I think this is a very valuable,
Yeah,
like a brainstorming and also false critical thinking as a human being. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, a good combination.
Yeah, right. I'm like always like worried. For some reason, I just like to worry. And you are more like a person who just see more bigger picture. Hey, don't have to worry. You see the history or you
Hmm.
see this part is actually fine. So I think it's good to learn from you, more like a from product manager or product owner. And for
Hmm.
me, I usually call myself as a builder. I just like to create things.
Yeah,
Cool. Awesome. Then anything you want to mention at the end?
I don't think so. I think I'm good today.
Cool. Awesome. Then thank you so much for tuning in today, and we will see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.